Today on Virginia Legends podcast, I have Kallie Hovatter, one of the greatest scorers in Shenandoah history, but also Virginia history. She was a four-time All-State player at Stonewall Jackson in Shenandoah County. She was Player of the Year twice in the Northern Virginia Daily.
Yep.
Player of the Year twice, and nominated to the McDonald's All-Star Game, which is not easy for someone from a small school to do. She played at
For sure.
Elon College, and then
Yep.
she spent 11 years playing pro basketball in Australia, and now, interestingly enough, lives in Toronto,
Yeah.
others call it the 51st state. Uh,
That's right.
yeah. Anyway, Callie, great to meet you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. What a lovely occasion. And it was cool to be recommended and I guess referenced in the Virginia the athletes post. That was so cool. The legends. So happy to be a part of that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, when I read about you, I'm like, wow, I should know more about her. That's why I said maybe
Yeah.
it's time to reach out. Well, let's start with Shenandoah County, which I
Okay.
don't know much about. Uh,
Yep.
it does seem kind of odd that there's three high schools in the county, isn't it? That can't be that big. Well,
No.
why is that?
Yep.
Instead of having like one, most of these counties have consolidated into one big school. Why are there
That's
three little
true.
schools in Shenandoah?
Well, I guess because the valley's broken down and you have Woodstock, you have Stonewall, and you have Strasburg. So they've, but you're right because our school sizes, like I think my graduating class was less than 90 people. But it was as long as I remember, my folks went to school, and it was kind of divided this way. Maybe before their time, there's only less maybe schools at that time, but you're right. It is a smaller location to have that many schools kind of spread out, but it does create a lot of rivalry. I'll let you know that.
Yeah.
It creates a major rivalry between us schools because we're so close. We were a few miles apart, all three of us. So that's actually a really good point.
So you think culturally the schools prefer to be separate? They built up this
Yeah.
history and they enjoy
Yeah.
it. I mean, because sometimes in mountainous areas, and I think you guys are the valley, mountainous
Yeah.
areas you have schools close together because the roads to get over it might be five
That's right.
miles on the map, but it's 30 minutes to get over the mountain. It's not one of those
Yep.
things. It's just a matter of probably culturally they want to be separate.
That's right. Yeah. There's a bit of that probably. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and Strasburg has always been the football school. And at
Yep.
least from what
Yep.
I know, and so the other schools aren't really known as much for football. Is that the way it is?
Yeah, that's true. I think the Falcons though have had a few good runs lately. But Stonewall, I think when we had the times of Dick Kroll and those times that we were quite a strong, rugged, scrappy team. But the Rams have always been a stronger football team over the years. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and in Stonewall Jackson, there was a controversial name rechange. Is
Oh
that
yeah.
is that just or swept up in political times, or is that
Yeah.
indicative of there's tension in the area? How do you read
Well,
that?
I think folks had quite a bit of time on their hands. No, but as far as I've always known, I've always been proud to be a general. My folks were Stonewall generals. There's so much history, as you mentioned, in the area. A lot of the war was fought through here.
Mhm.
So there's certainly a lot of, there's incredible people before our time, that created incredible history. I was proud to play for a school with the name of a general, many, many, many years ago. So, yeah, it was changed kind of quickly and then back to Stonewall. All my high school gear still says Stonewall. And I'm proud of that. I mean, it was cool for a moment that they switched it up, but I'm happy we went back to our roots in history a bit.
Yeah, the only unfortunate thing about Mountain View, I guess there's another Mountain View near Fredericksburg, so that was kind of a interesting
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
So you traveled the world a little bit. Would you have been
Yeah.
just as happy just to be a high school basketball coach in Shenandoah County and live there? You're like your parents. I don't know if they're coaches or not, but would you be happy
Yeah.
living your life in Newmarket? Are you glad you got a chance to see the world?
Great question. I don't know. Since I was young, I always wanted to get out of the valley to kind of spread my wings, and I think that's important because I have a really strong base. Like my family, or no matter where I am, I can create home, and we've always been really connected. So seeing the world and getting the chance to kind of grow in perspective and culture has been huge in my life. Our area is small, but when I do come home and I'm living in Canada and Australia, really, really long ways away, I do always feel that sense of home. I guess when I'm here, this, when you sit outside, like you just, it's so peaceful. It's serene. But I only get that appreciation because I've been away for so many years, I'd say.
Yeah. So it just
Yeah.
makes you appreciate it more. Would it be harder, I guess, if there wasn't Zooms and Apple,
Oh yeah.
what's it called?
Yep.
Help me
Yeah.
out here.
FaceTime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
FaceTime
FaceTime.
and all the other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. All
Would it
the
be
things.
harder
Yeah.
without?
Yeah. Because when I moved to Australia, that was around 2013. And that was the time I think Skype was quite big at that time and those sorts of platforms. And I was able to kind of call my grandparents, call my folks, call my siblings. And without that, it did make life extremely, you felt farther away than normal, but without these platforms to allow us to stay connected, I'm so grateful for them because for the years, it allowed me to feel like my family aren't that far away.
Yeah. Has Newmarket
Yeah.
or Shenandoah County changed much in 20 years?
Uh, for sure. I'm sure there's changes here. I mean, when I do come home, I do see some more restaurants, some more little local things, little pop-up shops or little mom and pop places. But certainly the chance to feel, you're further away because I live in Connickville, so that's outside of Mount Jackson. It's a real little small little place. So we're really quite tucked away. But Connickville hasn't changed too much. We still have I don't know. I have a town and country superette store here. We have a fire department and maybe one or two other things. That's about all we have out back this way. But I'm sure the valley has grown and certainly evolved over the years for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
the communities in the valley pretty similar? Or I mean, when you say the valley, like when I went to UVA, when we consider
Yeah.
Waynesboro and Stanton the
Yeah.
valley as well, and we up to
Yeah.
Luray because I used to referee basketball. That was a valley. So
Cool.
when you say the valley, it's a pretty big
Yeah.
area. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, are all the communities very much the same, or are they very unique? And it could be like you might love Mount Jackson or the area of Mount Jackson, but Luray might be different. It
Yeah.
might be your cup of tea.
Yeah, well, I'd say like Mount Jackson has its own little, folks out this way. People are close. You got small families. You got everyone kind of knows each other around here. Then you go into Woodstock. It's a little bit more, what do you want to call that? A little bit more, I don't know. I'm trying to get a good political diplomatic word here. It's a little bit more, let's call it more northern, even though it's not northern. There's a little bit more of that kind of feel there. And then Strasburg's kind of similar in that way to Woodstock. But I feel like places along the mountain, go up to Page and Luray, kind of have that similar kind of Mount Jackson feel when you go out to those pockets. But every area does have little bit of a slightly different taste. But I'm so grateful for just my time and growing up in this part of Virginia for sure.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be interviewing Walker Lambiot this week. I don't know if you know
Oh
him.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
I
interesting
do.
because I've never interviewed anyone from the Valley. I've interviewed folks from all over the state.
Yeah,
And for
okay.
some reason, I just haven't. I tried to get Don Burgess. He's played
Okay.
Harrisonburg, he's coach there.
Yeah,
He's
for sure.
put. We haven't connected, but all over the
Yep.
state, but never the Valley,
Yeah.
which is beautiful. So my daughter goes
This
to
is cool.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my daughter goes to James Madison, and so we
Okay.
drive through down 81, and we see the different
Yeah.
communities. I have noticed a lot of like uh, like townhouses or small communities being built along the road. I wouldn't say a lot,
Yeah.
but there are communities that are springing up along
Yeah.
81 there. So it sounds like
Yeah.
there is some general
Yeah.
development.
It's a nice place, I'd say. I mean, we have a lot of vineyards out our way too. You get a lot of folks from, DC, Northern Virginias, or northern parts of the states coming in to experience our vineyards here. So that does bring a lot of growth, I'd say. You got a lot of folks that, like to leave the cities to come out to these smaller communities because it is a nice place to retire or, get away from the hustle and bustle of the bigger cities. That's probably true where you see it's quite a bit of development along the freeways, without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any
Yeah.
do you guys have any connection with West Virginia? I mean, when you hear
Yeah.
country roads, do you get goosebumps or
Yeah.
oh you do?
Yeah. Yeah. Because growing up in this area, when I tell people where I'm from, I always reference it to Country Roads Take Me Home, because we are in the Shenandoah Valley, we are in the Blue Ridge Mountains. That's exactly I'm looking at that as soon on this call with you right now. But my dad actually grew up in West Virginia. He grew up in Parsons, West Virginia. So we do have a little bit of a close connection there. We used to have a lot of family reunions over that way. We'll get to chance to talk about my folks. That'll be great. My dad was a sports person as well. But yeah, we definitely have some West Virginia connections. And we're quite close to the border where we are, as you probably know. Not far at all. But yeah, that was a nice place to check out that growing up as a small kid too.
Yeah. So your parents are athletes?
Yeah, yeah. My mom was a cheerleader. She cheerleaded for Stonewall Jackson High School. That's definitely where I get my spirit and my energy, without a doubt. My dad was a runner. He used to run home quite a bit, and work on the farm. He also played basketball. I think he kind of did a bit of football as well. But both of my folks have their own sporting sense and their own sporting nature about them, and certainly the competitive nature I get is from both of them. And the spirit and the passion comes from them growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did they meet? How did your father end up in Shenandoah County?
His family traveled quite a bit. They started in West Virginia, but they moved around quite a bit. And my dad is a farmer, several generations now. His dad was a farmer too, and they were kind of moved about to kind of buy some land. And my dad was one of four. I'm also one of four. So they needed a chance to kind of spread out and kind of start the farming lifestyle, I guess. So they moved. He did live in Verona for a little bit, and then they eventually settled down here in Stonewall. My folks met outside of high school. I don't believe they dated in high school, but I think they dated later, and met each other when my mom went to school. She went to school to James Madison as well. She did a year at Virginia Tech too, um, and then she got her master's and things along the way. Super proud of my mom. Working on her dissertation now. Go mom.
Hmm.
For a PhD. So, but they met outside of high school.
What does she want to do with her PhD?
Well, my mom is she's an incredible educator. My mom's been in education for over 40 years. And my mom she went away to Finland several years ago, and she noticed some things when she was there on a research sort of trip. She noticed that the kids always go outside, no matter the weather, no matter the season, no matter the weather, and always had this recess all the time. And my mom kind of has implemented 4 recesses in her school, to allow for kids to play more. That chance to get outside of the structured classroom at times. It allows the kids to focus, allows the kids to socialize, less discipline, more sense of working together and things. So her dissertation is going to be around recess and play, and the impact it has on children in today's learning culture. Super proud of her.
Oh, well, you should be.
Yep,
I'm sure they're
yep,
proud of you.
yeah,
So
yeah,
many years ago, we were in Disney World, and we were in
yep.
Norway in Epcot Center. They have different
Okay,
countries. Yeah. So
yeah,
we were talking to the waiter, and he was from Norway, and
yep,
we just were talking about the weather, and he said, "Yeah, well, you're in
yeah,
Norway, you get used to it." He
yeah,
said we'd go outside and we played soccer,
yeah,
30 degrees below Fahrenheit, and there's no
yeah,
problem. We're
yep,
used to it, and
yep.
you just deal with it. So
That's
maybe
awesome.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
your mothers are going to implement that into Shenandoah County schools.
She is, she really is. My mom's a trailblazer. I'm so proud of her. She's found a way to do it in her school system. So I think if she continues that journey, I think I don't know. In today's world, I think that really will help kids without a doubt. Yeah, yeah.
Were you the first sibling in your family to play basketball?
No, my sisters played as well. My younger brother did too. So that's kind of how I got started playing. My sisters played when I was quite young, and I remember being courtside a lot, too small to go and play with them, but just wanting to be out there with them. So there'll be basketballs and things along the sidelines, and I would just watch what they were doing, and kind of pick it up from there. And just all I can just remember being so upset, like, why can't I get out there and play with them? Why isn't it my turn? But then finally, when I got good enough, pretty young, I was able to get out there with them. But they started when they were young, and then I started when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And then I've played really my entire life now. Yeah.
Were they good players also?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My sister Lisa went to Central. My other sister Melanie went to Stonewall. My brother went to Stonewall too. They were great players. But my sister Lisa went on to be a hurdler. She was a great track athlete. My sister Melanie was good at different sports. She was great at tennis. She did a bit of basketball, a bit of cross country. My brother Philip, similar track athlete, but played football and basketball too. But all very talented, all very competitive.
Mm.
For sure.
Where
Yeah.
so where'd you? I know it was with your family probably, but
Yeah.
where'd you start playing? Was it a local park? Did your dad build a basketball court on the
Yeah.
farm, or how did you start playing?
Yeah, so my dad did build he tarn chipped the back part of our driveway here, and he made a little basketball goal for us. And we kind of sidelined the out of bounds with hay bales back then. So the hay bales are no longer there. They've deteriorated over the years, but the court still stands, and so does the hoop. But we actually started playing indoors a little bit when my family are very competitive, Julian, but we used to kind of slap a piece of paper up on the wall here in our house. And if you could hit that piece of paper, it was like the size of a Post-it, that counts as a goal. But we would tear stuff up. We'd break things in the house, but finally we got the court outside, so we took it from indoor to outdoor. But that's how I started playing.
Yeah. Do you have
Yeah.
where you are great coaching? Do you have access to AAU programs? Is it easy
Yeah.
for a farm girl to get connected to the right with the right people?
No. I'd say the exposure in these small areas is extremely hard. But where I became kind of quite, I guess, a big part of my journey is when I met George Toliver.
Yeah.
So this area is extremely hard to find or to network or to gather exposure. But I remember being a sixth or seventh grader playing at Harrisonburg High School at some sort of basketball event, and George Toliver approached me at the half court center circle, and he said, "Hey, I want to be your agent." And I said, "Who are you? Like, I don't know who you are." Like, I was this young, kind of fast talking, excited kid about basketball. And he said, "I'm going to be your agent." And then my parents went on to tell me who he was. And he was the reason why I was able to kind of gather networking, gather exposure. The chance to play all over the east coast of the United States, playing major tournaments like Nike exposure events or Adidas kind of classic kind of AAU events. We did do a lot of winning together. We did win a national event in Florida, and played with some incredible players at that time. We can talk about that if you'd like, but he was the reason why I was able to kind of to get a chance to be seen in this small area.
Did you play with his daughter?
Nope, she was older than me, but she was certainly someone that I watched from afar. She did come to a lot of our practice sessions. At that time, she was playing at the University of Maryland when I was kind of still going through school in AAU. But she would come around a lot, and we would compete against each other. And she was one of not many words, but when she did speak, I always ensured I listened because she's an incredible talent, as we know, from Virginia.
Yeah. Who was your first role model, male or female?
I knew this is a great question. And I think I'd have to say when you're from a small area, there's not a lot that go before you that you kind of feel like you can resonate or reach. So for me, I'd watch a lot of athletes, men and women, on March Madness or NCAA. Those times that Tarazi or Sue Bird or even Jackie Stiles for a bit there. Like these players, I remember watching on the television, like, okay, these are athletes that are incredible. I love to emulate what they do on the court. But there was no real one person I connected with, but I'd say just watching teams on March Madness allowed me the chance to kind of, okay, I'm going to try and do that.
It would have been different today, don't you think, with the WNBA's
Yeah.
exposure? You would have been
Yep.
you would have seen Caitlin Clark all the time, and
Oh,
all,
yeah.
all the stars
Yep.
in WNBA are household names now. It's so funny
Yeah.
because
Yep.
I don't really follow I follow high school closely, and I was really into college basketball years ago, but now I'm so busy, so I don't even follow the boys' games so much. But when
Yeah.
Caitlin came around, I
Yeah.
started paying attention to the WNBA, and because the
Yep.
league is so small,
Yeah.
it's easy to get to know all the players because there's only 10 teams or so. You see them all the
Yep.
time. So I really
Yep.
got to know all the players. My guess is if
Yeah.
you came along today, you probably
Yeah.
would have more role models from the WNBA than you
You,
probably had. Yeah.
Yeah, you better believe it, because the social media exposure now and the influence these athletes have in today's game certainly are the reason why so many athletes are following it now of all backgrounds of all over the world. But I look at players that came before Caitlin Clark that certainly were incredible athletes that just because they didn't maybe have the social media impact that today's game has, a lot of players didn't get a chance to be seen. I feel like I'm in that department of players. Because if we had what today's game kind of has, which no shame on it at all, it would have allowed this more reach of, oh, okay, that's someone I want to be like. I know that player I respect and admire. I want to be like that. But that we just didn't have that in the early 2000s.
Do you enjoy like the spiciness? I don't know if that's a proper term, but
Yeah,
of the
good.
WNBA,
Yeah.
it's something else. It's like a food fight sometimes.
Yep.
It's so over the top emotional. And I think
Yep.
it's actually added to the appeal of the league.
You're right. Yeah.
I don't even know where it all comes from, but there's so much drama going on. Do you
Yeah.
enjoy that part of the game?
Well, I feel like Americans love a good story. I think Americans love a good hero. And I think today's players really they're really expressive. They talk about societal things. They talk about, things that these nuances in life that players earlier just kind of, they kind of stayed in their lane. But players today are, like you said, they're very expressive. There's a bit of drama. There's, okay, who's going to get in a fight this week, or who's after each other. But I think the game now, people love that. They love the story behind it. They love the drama and the magnitude that it creates.
Have you been interested in the evolution of? My guess is when you were playing high school and college, you probably
Yep.
didn't worry much about personal appearance when you played. But now
Yeah.
when people play, they
Yeah.
got the makeup, they got the false
Yeah.
eyelashes
The,
on.
the eyelashes.
I mean, it
Yeah.
is a whole different thing. Have you
Yeah.
have you have you enjoyed the evolution to what the way it is now?
Yeah, seeing it now, because when I remember being really young, watching players like Allen Iverson, these kind of cultural influencers that wore the baggy shorts or the tattoos, and that was really a men's game sort of thing. But to see it in the women's game, to see players, with these caterpillar eyelashes and different hairstyles, different shoe colors, the game is shifting a little bit in this way, and it is kind of nice to follow it. I do appreciate that kind of fashion sense it's bringing.
Yeah. Do you think people really appreciate how good the players are? And the reason why I think sometimes we tend to compare women athletes to men athletes, to male athletes. But the
Yep.
WNBA, it is so hard to make the WNBA. There's so few roster spots. There
Yeah.
are professional women all over the world that are playing and
You're
making
right.
good in Europe and stuff. But
You're
there's
right.
there's very limited spots because there are people
You're right.
that were out of the league, come in and they average 15 points a game. They just never
Yep.
got an opportunity because it's so hard to get a spot.
Yeah.
As someone who played pro ball, do you think
Yeah.
people really appreciate the level of the WNBA?
I still think we got a long way to go. But you're right. The chance to try and get a spot in today's WNBA, and that's the reason I went overseas, because it's so hard. I mean, I do appreciate that the W is expanding to other cities, because it was before, geez, we had what, like 10 teams or less? Like there wasn't that many. And you look at the men's, like there's more than 20 teams. And just, every roster has what, 15 players, but when you have less teams and less opportunity, it's super rare to be a part of today's game. But the chance to get overseas, I think other countries are catching up to allow kind of more roster spots, or more talent across the world now.
Yeah. It's always cool in that our women athletes in America are always desired overseas in soccer, basketball.
Yep.
Men in basketball certainly, but it's other sports in soccer and they struggle because
Yeah.
the world is a big place and there's a lot of great athletes around the world. But our
Yep.
women seem to always be advanced. I guess we prioritize female sports as we should. Well, let's
Hmm.
get back to you a little bit.
Okay.
Who was your first important coach?
But I'd probably go back to Coach Toliver. My dad too. I'd probably put both those guys up there at the top. Coach Toliver was someone who, I don't know, he just had this. When he led us, and when he would speak, when he would kind of set his mind to something, we all just followed. We started the triangle offense. That he kind of, he was an NBA referee, as you know, and he kind of got that from, I'm sure, the NBA, and he brought that to us, our young team. And man, it made us incredible. But in the beginning, I didn't understand it. I was like, what's this triangle thing?
Mhm.
But after I figured it out as his point guard, and kind of our floor general, I gathered so much respect for him. We still keep in touch today. Man, I really love and admire him and appreciate him very much. And my dad too. My dad, certainly a competitive person. I remember, sitting on the sidelines watching my siblings play, and my dad would be kind of courtside with me in my ear. Hey Callie, but make sure you pay attention to this. Hey Callie, make sure, are you watching this, Callie? But that allowed me, that kind of that play-by-play that my dad had in my ear, allowed me to really learn and be a real student at a really young age.
What's your dad's name?
My dad's Sonny, my mom's name Sonny and Joni.
Funny and
Yeah.
Jody. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Um, So, when you think about your development, you've mentioned a lot about Tolliver and AAU and that kind of
Yeah.
exposure. How
Yep.
important to your development was playing for a school, high school, where you have to put the school's success on your back? Your job is to
Yeah.
score a lot of points. You scored 43
Yep.
points in a game. You were
Yeah.
obviously one
Yep.
of the top names in the area. Is
Yeah.
that a different part of development than playing on a team where players are all your level, roughly your
Yeah.
level, and then all of a sudden it's up to Callie to win or lose the game?
Yeah, there was yeah, there was certainly a lot of pressure, but you know what? I had such great teammates that they would bring their part. So, if my need was to score, then we ensured that the rest would bring, I'm gonna rebound, I'm gonna ensure I'm gonna set hard screens. And my coach, Jeff Berner, he's certainly someone that I should definitely bring up on this call. He was someone that he knew how to bring the best out of each player. So yes, I had to be a scorer, but without my teammates, we wouldn't have certainly gotten to the places we did in Virginia. But you're right, definitely brought some pressure. And there was a school that used to keep this, they called it the Kallie tally. And anytime I would kind of make a mistake or an error, they ensured to let me know about it in the stands. But
Oh
that
wow.
was,
Did,
yeah.
did you feel it was good nature, or was it kind of hostile?
Well, it kind of made me laugh because when I didn't make a mistake, I was like, how about now, guys? Where's the positive tally?
Yeah. Do you think
Yeah.
you could have skipped high school basketball and focused on a club and you would have been fine?
Yeah, well, high school, you know what? The high school, my years there, and then my chance to kind of spread my wings by going to university. I wouldn't have skipped that part because just the small town kind of hero, I guess the small town kind of, hey, if I can do this, others can too. That part of my life, I I definitely appreciate, very grateful for.
Were people intimidated by you? Were guys afraid to ask you to prom? And did you have,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Funny question. Yeah. But my
hope it's
but
not offensive.
no, right. I had good-looking sisters though, and they still very beautiful. So they were very social. So, they would ensure that, they I would wear they would help me dress up quite girly because I was very sporty. Um I would be well dressed to find a great partner to go to prom because I'd love to dance. So that was always fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, other than playing basketball, you had a pretty
Yeah.
standard, typical high school life.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say basketball was certainly kind of I married it at a young age, so it allowed me to kind of to leave the world and to kind of see what else is out there. But most of my upbringing was, pretty normal. I guess the farming too. I was growing up on a farm, getting up early and learning discipline and, seeing something start to finish. Those sorts of things taught me a lot too. I should bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have a typical accent as someone
Yeah.
from the valley. Is it because you've been around the world and you've lost it?
Yeah. You know what? People ask me that. Well, every now and then you get the Australian lingo because, they have a different sort of level of English. But I'll get Southern when I'm around my family,
Yeah.
Virginia.
My son
Um,
likes to call he likes to code switch when he's
Code switch.
different people, he's different talks in different ways. I think we all do it.
Yeah, we
You know,
do. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so how far did you get in high school? What was the farthest you were able to take the team?
So we were able to get to we went to the state kind of playoffs. 2 years back to back we did. I did get injured in the regional part, which made it challenging to win the state. But we were back to back state appearances. I think it was in my junior, my senior year. But yeah, we won the district many times, which was great. But I think now when I played, it was you were the best out of like the entire district. Now it's quite you're kind of the best out of like a smaller group of teams now. I understand, like it's not as many teams now, it seems like.
Yeah, they've taken the competition out.
Yeah,
Everyone gets
yeah,
at the end of the day,
yeah,
everyone is a state champion
yeah.
nowadays. It's not.
Now when I played, you had to
Yeah,
be the best.
no, no, exactly. Certainly, when I
Yeah,
played, I was
yeah,
class of
yeah.
'84. I went to
Okay,
Robinson and Fairfax, and only
yeah,
two teams went to even
yeah,
regionals, and then
yeah.
only one team would go to state. So, I
That's
mean,
right. That's
your
right.
expectations to even go to regionals was a huge thing. Now,
Yeah,
like we just moved out here to Loudoun County.
Yep.
There's like 8 or 9 team regions. So 2 teams out of 9 go to state every year.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
don't go to state, you've had a bad year, which is really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. I know participation award now, but when we played, yeah, you understand. It was you were the top if you were able to get to that level of play. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I went out last night with some guys that were
Okay.
top players in my area.
Yeah.
Both of them were top point guards, top quarterbacks. Both of them won state in football, and
Oh
but back
wow.
when it was impossible to do that, and so
Yeah.
they were such great athletes. They're
Yeah.
legendary, and
Yeah.
nowadays there are literally so many state champions
Yeah.
around that it's not
Yeah.
really quite as memorable. Like, my
Yeah.
son got to the state final in soccer,
Yep.
and it was great. It was a great run. But after
Yeah.
it's over, you don't think much about it because
Yeah.
it's not really that
You're
unique.
right. You're
Yeah.
right. I can bring up too, Julian. I was a grand champion pig showman for
Really?
the state. Yeah, so we used to show pigs at the county fair,
Get
the
out of
Shenandoah,
here.
and that taught us a lot too. My uncle's a pig farmer, my mom's brother. We were grand champion pig showmans. But it taught me how to play defense, showing a pig in a ring. Level. You gotta kind of hunker down and know where the judge is at all times, and keep your eyes up, but understand where your animal is compared to all the other animals.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I should probably let you know that too, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We got to give the pigs their due. So
Right.
you end up going to Elon College. So
Yeah.
Elon
Yep.
College is a very
Yep.
underrated. It's a beautiful place.
It
People will
is.
go there, rave about it. But it's
Yep.
funny, people don't talk about it as much
No.
as one of in the North Carolina schools you hear about. People go to UNC, people go to
Yeah.
obviously Duke and
Do.
stuff. Elon is
Yep.
a great place, but people don't talk about
Yep.
it. So why'd you decide to go to Elon, and what were some of your other choices?
Well, actually started at St. Joe's in Philly. I went there for a year because I was incredibly recruited by the Atlantic 10 conference. And I should just say here quickly, because I know you went to University of Virginia. I was offered University of Virginia when Deb Ryan was there.
Yeah.
I was chance to play there. I was offered a scholarship. But during that time, I kind of learned I wasn't going to play until I was like a sophomore in college because Deb had her, she had her system, she had her point guard, and I just wasn't ready to go to a school where I couldn't play for 2 years. I was, always coming from an area where I've always been a player. I've always, I wasn't. Looking back, you can only connect the dots. Looking back, that would have been an incredible moment to have played for Deb Ryan. But I ended up going to St. Joe's in Philly. I played there for a year, but being in Philly, being in that it was a big culture shock. So I went back down south to Elon in North Carolina. I played for Karen Barefoot and Charlotte Smith. Charlotte
Yeah.
Smith was in the game many years ago. I had different coaching changes, which did make my college career a little bit challenging to kind of, because when a head coach comes in, they bring their own recruiting, they bring their own different type of play. So it kind of made it hard to kind of to settle in and gather my feet as a player at Elon. But what an incredible university! The education I received there, just the beauty of that area. I am so blessed to have gone to that university.
Did you finally find your groove? You said you were struggling a little bit to find it. Did you finally
Yep.
get in that groove where it worked out for you?
Well, toward the end, I played for Charlotte Smith like for a year or so, year or two. I did have a really tragic ankle injury in
Oh,
college, which most of the time, you couple weeks, couple months off, but because I didn't really rest it that well. I had to sit for an entire year after already sitting for a year from doing the D1 to D1 transfer. So in the end, I probably only played about 3 years, if that, of college ball. But in those 3 years, I had two different coaching changes. So you know what? No excuse here, but it was certainly hard to really make way at that location. Yeah,
yeah. Well, it's
yeah,
funny. After such a tough injury, I would
yeah,
think most people would just probably leave basketball behind, but you
yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
You
yeah,
decided to keep pursuing it. Why?
yeah.
How did that happen? And why did you decide to keep going?
Okay, this is a cool story. So it kind of came up. I had a couple offers. Finland came up too. I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name. He was a Virginia guy that got me connected there. He's in Finland now. I'll think of his name later. Jerry Walters knows him well. Are you familiar with Coach Walters?
Yes. I don't know him, but I know who he
Okay.
is. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Many years ago, there was an exchange player that came to Shenandoah County, played at Woodstock. His name was Daniel Fisher. He was an incredible Australian talent. When he was in our area, I was probably only in middle school. It's okay, our dog's barking.
Mhm.
He was I was a middle school player, but I remember watching him play like, man, this guy can hoop. And every week I'd see him play down at Central High School. He'd give me a new trick or a new move to learn. And I remember as a young person, like, okay, this guy is awesome. And he, just remembering him as a player, he took Central to the state playoffs many years ago. That would have been in the late 90s, probably that at that time. But when it was my chance to kind of, leave the Valley, I reconnected with him. I asked if he was still in Australia, and he was. He was he was coaching at that time and also playing a bit. And I said, hey, like I'd love to reconnect. And it's crazy how basketball allows you to do that. And I said, I'm still playing. I love the chance to see Australia. And, next thing I know, we connected again on Facebook, and here I was in Australia. And he got me connected to different players and different coaches. And I did some trials over there and was able to try out for a team that allowed me the chance to get a professional contract. But it was really because of that, of his influence in our small town, and and my kind of, just this. I did. He was a role model for me. I probably should have mentioned that. And it's crazy that the world evolved that I ended up moving out there with him.
Mhm. Was it an adjustment, the Australian game?
Yeah, it is. The US, I'd say, is we're a very north to south kind of game. Australia it's more east to west. Like there's more plays, there's more setup, there's more structure. There's it's high basketball IQ. Not as north to south, but it's changing now. But when I was playing at that time, it just a little bit of a difference there. Yeah.
Did your game fit in with Australia? Do you think it fits in better there or here?
Well, I adapted, I guess. I do love the American up down, 5 out kind of sets. I do appreciate that. But I kind of adapted there and learned how to be more structured to be kind of a playmaker and play and set up the plays more. Yeah.
Yeah. How popular is pro women's basketball in Australia?
Um, it's more for the men's, I'd say. You have the Sydney Kings over there. They're a huge team. But, Dan used to talk about in the 90s, basketball was huge, when you had Shane Hill and I'm trying to think of everybody's names. Carfino, I can't think of his first name right now. These folks in the 90s were incredible players. But it's evolving, but it's certainly bigger in the men's side. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're playing in Australia,
Yep.
does the rest of the world even know you're over there? Like when you're over there playing in the pro league, did people
Yeah.
here kind of lose track of you? You were all the way on the other side of the world.
You know what? We had Facebook and things when I was playing, so I did hear from people every now and then, but it being so far away from such a small town, you did kind of lose touch with people. But the folks closest to me kind of would watch my games. They could watch them live on live streams, which was always really cool. When I felt my family close in the live streams, that was always nice.
Yeah. So did you
Yep.
you were in Canberra, right? Canberra?
Yeah. Yep. I was
Yeah.
kind of a. Oh, yeah.
And that's the capital of
That's
Australia? Yeah.
the Australian
So
capital.
just remind me where that is. Where's Canberra?
Canberra.
Canberra.
So you got Sydney's kind of more. Australia's like this. Australia's massive. Canberra's kind of in the center. Sydney's kind of south of Canberra. Then you got Queensland and you got Northern Territory. Those things up top of Canberra, but Canberra's kind of right in the center.
But it's on the coast though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the coast. Yep, it's on the coast, kind of more central than the other kind of territories.
Did you like the city? Is it a good place to live?
Canberra is quite known for its roundabouts. They have so many roundabouts, the roads. It's a very political part of Australia, so that's where all the government buildings and things are. Very spread out. But I did appreciate, because I moved to Sydney later, but I did appreciate Canberra's kind of smaller town vibe. Sydney's more of a hustle city, but I moved there later. But I did appreciate the slowness and the pace of Canberra when I moved.
Yeah. How about social aspects? Did you enjoy the people in Canberra and also in Sydney, where people are nice? And is it the same? Is the social life the same as it is here, or do you find it much different?
Um, Australians have no worries climate. Everything is going to be all right. Just it's more laid back. There's a real work-life balance there that I really grew to appreciate. People are outside all the time. You got incredible it's just incredible landscape there, and their beaches and their mountains and their trails. But it is a different pace. It's a different feel when you're there. You notice there's just this less of an edginess that we have in American climate. Australians are just a little bit more laid back in a lot of senses. Yeah.
Yeah. And you enjoyed the move to Sydney? That was a better move
Yep.
for you?
Yep. That was huge. It allowed me to kind of socialize more, find more friendships, find more, relationships and things. And then my chance to join Apple,
Yeah.
which is I started working, you don't make a lot of money in women's games. So I had to kind of join another force. And Apple allowed me to to marry both worlds. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I want to get back to Apple
Sure.
in a
Yeah.
second, but did you find the Australian basketball, was it very diverse in terms of the people, or they're all over the world, lots of Americans? What kind of
Yep.
players? What was the makeup of the players?
Well, every roster only had one or two Americans,
Hmm.
which was most of the players were Australian. You'd hardly get European players. So to be on a roster of one or two Americans I was actually quite really, really grateful for that because I'd meet another American. I'm like, wow, like, hey, we'll be friends. Uh, Players were Australian. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just,
So were most your close friends in Australia, were they American or were they Australian?
uh, at the start of my career, they were American. I still stay in touch with those players today. But as I learned, over the years, a lot of my great friends now are obviously Australian. Yeah.
Yeah. Or being friends or dating or all that stuff, is it any different with an Australian person than an American? Are the relationships the same?
It's probably the same.
It's probably the same.
There's probably the same nuances. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when you joined Apple,
Yeah.
it's a great company. That
Yep.
must have been a great opportunity, and you probably learned just tons about business
Yeah.
and customer
Yeah.
service and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Apple is a unique place because it allows you the chance to really come to work and be yourself. And being a sports person, being a teammate, being a floor general, I've been able to kind of lead our teams within an Apple retail space to do incredible things. I've been able to bring that sports person of myself into my job at work. And I'm grateful because it's allowed me the chance to kind of play ball, but also a chance to kind of make great income too.
Yeah, and you've
Yeah.
really done well. You've done lots of different things with Apple.
Hmm. I've now worked in 6 different locations, 3 countries now, and now in Canada. And some huge locations. I worked in locations where we've had over 300 employees, multiple level venues. Had the chance to open up new stores. Obviously Apple is a commercial business, but it is a place that is very true to their people. Look after their people very well, and I'm grateful to be one of their people, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So why'd you come to Canada?
I was looking for a new opportunity. I'd been in Australia for 13 years at that point. I'm a dual citizen. And I
Oh, is
was
that
ready to get,
right? I didn't know that.
yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
so we'll say American Australian. We'll go that first and second. I was ready to kind of go. I didn't know if I was ready for the US yet, and a lot of a lot of Canadians live in Australia, and I actually my boss in Australia at the time was from Saskatchewan, and we spoke a lot about Canada together. And he mentioned it's a really great launching pad to launch your career forward. So I looked around and noticed Toronto had quite a few openings for different leadership moves. So I reached out and connected to them. So I've been in Toronto for about 13 months now. Great location. It's a young city. It is full of lots of people trying to grow their careers forward. I think eventually I'm going to be moving back to the US, but I was ready for a new adventure, and Toronto kind of became that.
Yeah. Did you become an Australian citizen because it's easier to find basketball opportunities?
Yep. In the end, basketball and Apple helped me with that. Yes, because being a citizen allowed you the chance to easier spots on the roster. Because as we mentioned, there's only one or two for American
Mhm.
players. But being Australian, I was able to no problem. I was able to re-sign pretty
Yeah.
easy. Yep.
Oh, no worries.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah. So, in Toronto, do you live in do you live and work in the suburbs or in the city?
Yeah, yep. I live and work in the downtown part of Toronto.
Wow.
Luckily I'm able to walk to work. It's like a 25-minute walk. But have you been up to Canada before? Have you been up that
I've been
way?
to Montreal.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Do you like Montreal?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
Jesus.
people love it. It's like Europe a bit. You get that
Yeah.
kind of vibe, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to get my son is finishing up at UVA this year. I'm trying to convince
Okay.
him, work a few years here, find out what you want to do, but try to get
Yep.
to Toronto or Montreal. I just love, I love Canada. So,
Yeah.
as an American in Canada now,
Yep.
do you feel tension up there? Because you have Trump runs his mouth a lot about Canada, and
Yeah.
I don't know if people take him seriously or not. But
Yeah.
what are the Canadians? What do they think about that, or do they not mention it to you?
No, they do. When people hear the Southern in my accent every now and then, they'll go, "What's your thoughts on Trump?" I try to steer clear as much as I can.
Sure.
There are definitely folks that don't admire him up there. They don't want to be a 51st state. Tariffs have been hard. I think as a consumer or whatever, I definitely felt the increase in prices on things in Canada, which has been challenging. But there's certainly I think but the nice thing about Canada, there's not the extremes that we have in the U.S. People a little bit more balanced when it comes to political things. But there's I guess that's everywhere.
So all in all, people don't look at you any differently.
No, yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, do you have friends, close friends that you can talk honestly about politics and you can get in depth, or generally do you skip
Yeah.
the issue altogether?
Well, it depends what's going on. There's times at work where, you kind of can't avoid it. It's going to be a hot topic or, in social circles. But most of the time you know, it, I try and kind of stay as present as I can and not try and get overly focused on it because it can be challenging at times, but try and steer clear where I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still play basketball?
I do. I actually play in a men's league. I'm the only female player in Canada.
Awesome.
We actually just won. It's called the Brody League. It's a really fun
Yeah.
league. I play with a bunch of great guys, and at first weren't sure if I could play because I was the only female. But then I'm like, well, let me play one game, and if y'all don't want me to play, no problem. And I play, and they're like, all right, you can play.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm playing still. It's more of a social league, but it's a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Is it mostly Americans playing or Canadians playing?
Yeah, but you have both. Yep, mostly
Yeah.
Canadians, but now and then I'll find some Americans that have come up there that play too.
Yeah. How tall are you, Callie?
Yeah. 5'9".
Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're a
I'm
nice
okay.
size for a guard
Six would have
for
been great.
yeah. Whereas you probably play more of a wing in the girls'
Yeah.
game, women's game,
Yep.
right? Yeah. Do
Yep.
they have a
Yep.
pro league in Canada?
You know what? We in 2026 we finally will. We will have they will be called the Toronto Tempo. We've never had a WNBA team
Oh, it's a
in
WNBA team. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Never had that. Never had it. So, but next year you'll be able to see the Toronto Tempo play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about your future in basketball? Do you see yourself as a coach or an agent,
Yep.
or you're
Yep.
great in front of the camera? Would you ever want to be getting some kind of media work or?
Question, I did go to school at Elon for broadcast communications. That's where I got my degree in television. And I did kind of dabble with that with Fox Sports for a little bit, but I had this eagerness to go and play still. But I have been asked, to look into coaching. I used to coach a lot of kids in Australia and love that time of my life. Maybe there's a future for coaching. Right now, Apple's kind of got me in a great position, so I can
Yeah.
still in that way. But you never know.
Yeah, I wish you would have done like a vlog for all your
Yeah.
experiences when you were overseas because
Oh,
you probably there's
yeah.
things that you did you'd probably have forgotten about. It would have been nice to have like
Yeah.
YouTube like
Yeah.
once a week or once a month.
Yeah.
What were you doing in July of 2016? That would have been
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
yeah,
Yep.
that could have been very interesting.
You're right. I did keep a journal. My mom, I love that part of her. I've always kept a journal over the years. She was a journaler, and I noticed her doing that as a kid. So I've always had a journal, and I've kind of had my pen to paper a lot to keep me, to remember these moments. But you're right, a vlog, the social media stuff, like that would have been awesome. What a
Yeah.
good idea.
Do you
Yep.
miss Australia?
I do grieve it at times. I've thought about it. The things are just there's just a lot of simplicity there that I miss. I do miss the beaches. I miss the way of life. I miss the type of people. Being in Canada, I do certainly miss it. but it's a place that'll always have my heart. I do have a friend getting married there next year, so always there'll always be trips. I'm sure that I'll find myself there at different times. Yeah,
I hate long plane
yeah.
rides though.
Oh,
Yeah. How about
you're right.
the weather? Do you prefer the cold weather of Canada or the warm weather of
Oh,
Australia?
I kind of can't believe I've done that. The cold weather's pretty awful, I'll be honest. Canadian, you're a gladiator. Respect to all Canadians because the winters are they are extreme. Our past winter, like I'm used to like the mild Virginia where if we get a little snow on the ground, the school's shut down. In Canada, like you can have snow, you can even see the sidewalks, and the country still carries on. People just carry on.
Yeah.
Um, sense of hey, I'm in this with you. I think that's why people say Canadians are so friendly.
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah.
I interviewed a guy from Pottstown or Potsdam, New York.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Or Plattsburgh anyway, it's on the
Yeah.
Canadian border. And when I
Okay.
interviewed him, I could just
Yeah.
feel how cold he was. I felt like there was
Yeah.
a fireplace going on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yep.
was, yeah, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I
No, you
probably would
feel.
put, if I had to go
Yeah.
to Canada, I'd probably go to British Columbia.
Yeah.
But I think I can deal with
Yeah.
the cold weather. So
Yeah.
you mentioned that one day you may come back to America. If you did,
Yeah.
would you want to live in the country or would you go to one of the big cities?
I'd probably start in a bigger city to start, like just to kind of get my feet kind of settled in, meet more people, kind of that next part of life. And then eventually I think a countryside would be pretty incredible. My family we're growing up this way, so that would be a great part to eventually get to the country. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best
Yeah.
things about the post-COVID world, I'm not trying to make
Yep.
up COVID,
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
the amount of remote work. And,
Hmm.
I'm a lawyer, but I sell to law firms. And
Okay.
a lot of times people in my industry have been working at home, but I
Yep.
worked at an office for most of my career. And as
Yeah.
soon as we went remote, I moved out towards Leesburg. And then, because I don't really like, I have to be downtown today, but I don't have to be downtown most days. And I
Yeah.
just love the countryside.
Yeah.
I'm like 15 miles away from the country, but
Yep.
just the close access. I go on nice bike rides.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't miss the city, even though I do love DC. It's home to
Yeah.
me.
No,
Um,
I'm
yeah,
with you. There is a pace that you appreciate, and I think that's even being in Toronto. I'll still go to the parks, or I'll go
mm,
near Ontario just to get away from the city. So there's this sense of yes, I'm in the hustle, but I where can I go where it's quiet because that allows me to kind of reset. And I'm like yourself. I'm definitely with that.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
listen, look, it's been amazing meeting you. Thanks for doing this. I would like to
Yeah.
ask you, do you have any goals that something in life that you definitely want to accomplish?
Yeah.
When you look at you're very young, you've done so
Yeah.
much, but are there things you
Yeah.
definitely want to do?
I want to have kids one day, Julian. I love to be a mom for sure. I love to have a family without a doubt. Certainly, that would be great. My siblings have kids, so I love to have, to do that at one point. That's probably the next thing. That's what I'm thinking about. But any other goals, I'd say we'll start with that for now. Yeah.
That's a big one. Do you think
Yeah.
you'd be a patient? Would you be a patient sports parent, or would your
Oh,
kids have very large shoes to fill?
good question. You know what? I'd be patient, because I put as a young person, I put a lot of pressure on myself. And watching kids in today's game, and you see the kind of hand gestures they do because they watch players in today's game do all kinds of things that that kind of show this emotion, this drama we talked about earlier in the call. But I think I'd like to be a parent that's patient and and supportive and caring like my parents were for me too.
Yeah, I wish
Yeah.
I'd have been that kind of sports dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a little over the top, but
Yeah. 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 I get it.
yeah, there's something about your kid playing sports that just it
Yeah.
makes you a lunatic. I can't explain
Uh,
it
yeah,
because I'm the most rational
I get
person
it.
most
Yeah.
days.
I can
But
tell. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, well, look, Cal, again, this is
Yeah.
great to meet you. If you're ever
Yeah.
in the Leesburg area, I'd love to go have coffee, meet you in person.
That's
But
great.
hopefully, we keep in touch on social media. But I really
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time to
Yeah.
talk to me.
Yeah. 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 Thank you so much, Julie. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, it's great. Nice to meet you. Okay, Callie,
Okay.
have a
See
great
you.
day.